Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I would like to remind you, that next meeting it will be your reporting, and I have already posted the guidelines for your reports. So, same grouping para sa inyong research, and then the topics na nag-i-add to. Okay? What else? After your reporting, on the following week, on Monday, you will have your quiz, final term quiz, because on the last meeting or on our last synchronous class, you will have your presentation of your research. Okay? So I hope that is clear now sa inyo, Okay? So I think I have already posted na tanan. Your exam, final term exam na dayon po is on December 13. That will be at 9 o'clock a.m. Same time. So, isa pa. Wala naman tingali. Do you have any questions before we start? Or clarifications before we start the class? By the way, until December 16 ra ko mo check sa exam. In kaso lang og dili gid mo makatake by December 13. So please take the exam on the following days before December 16. Okay, after December 16, dili na gyud ko mo check because I only have few days para mag-finalize sa grades sa akong students. And remember again, I have 50 times 400 students na graduhanan pala. Okay, yes, Soria. Soria.
Ma'am, regarding sa mga research, ma'am, baka nang kato unsay content na mo, ma'am, like unsay sequence of content like introduction na ba may theoretical
Objectives.
and conceptual framework?
Wala na, no.
Wala
na. Introduction lang. Introduction is 3 to 4 paragraphs. Object of study, significance, scope, and then chapter 2, you will have your research local and your statistical tools. Ang statistical tools in your class is based on your objectives of the study. So for example, you say, we will be using frequency and distribution for our demographic profile, and then we will be using regression analysis to determine the relationship between age and IQ level of our respondents. So, nga na lang. Inyo ra siyang state, no calculation. Ana lang. Okay, Soria?
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So, any more? Before we start, I'll start checking your attendance.
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am. Mag-post ka, ma'am, sa content, ma'am, or katulang murag normal lang po, normal. Katong common lang nga ako, ma'am, content, or ikaw may maghatag, ma'am, sa content kada chapter.
Ay, dili na mura to siya ang content actually. The guidelines na siya sa inyong FDT nga PowerPoint kato akong gi-post naara dito. 1 and 2 lang ta, chapter 1 and 2. So introduction, 3 to 4 paragraph, objectives of the study, inyong objectives. Dayon yung scope, significance, 1 paragraph, scope and delimitation, 1 paragraph lang. Then chapter 2, your research local and your statistical tools. Ana lang.
Ma'am, unsa ning research local, ma'am?
Ay, lang.
What do you mean by research?
Sa Ranyowa sa
Sorry, ma'am.
Soria. Okay, Ranyowa.
Pwede yung likod to, ma'am, rationale, objectives, tapos statement of the problem, and scope from, ma'am, muna na ang chapter 1, ma'am.
Introduction, yes. 3 to 4 paragraph na introduction, basically, or background of the study. Objectives, significance, 1 paragraph ra. Ang objectives, of course, numbering na siya, di ba? So, number 1, number 2, number 3. And then, significance of the study, 1 paragraph. Scope and delimitation, 1 paragraph. And then, chapter 2, research local. Kung asa ninyo i-conduct inyong research, gusto i-conduct ang research. That's research local. And then, statistical tools. Mora. Statistical tools must be in paragraph 4. Mora.
So wala
So,
ni
wala na
statement
magot tayo
na
dito.
mo.
Instead of statement, we'll just use objectives of the study. Dili na tamang statement.
Okay.
Anyway, wapo tamang statement of the problem ta din mag-objectives. Pero, kung dili na maguta ka data collection, sayang po. Yes, Asoria.
Ma'am, ang katulagang so sa to pa ma'am, chapter 1 and chapter 2 ra mambuhaton ma'am.
Yes.
Ang results and discussion o conclusion ma'am included na sa chapter 2.
Wala, dili na. Wala na tayo results and discussion kay wala man ko nag-require of data collection. Kay even ako mga kadang under sa puan na nagpa-analyze sila
Same.
research, the statistics, until karon usay ang uban wala pa gyud man sa data collection. So nga na usay magud people nowadays are sometimes unresponsive. Let's just kanang accept the reality. Usay unresponsive na kaayo. Naay mga tawo nga unresponsive na or naay mga tawo nga kanang dili lang po sila kabantay ba nga gusto ta or kinahanglanon na ta respond. So muna problem. Muna wala na ko nagpa-undergo yung data collection sa inyo ha. Okay? Nasabtan? So unsa pa?
Excuse me ma'am. So, di ba ma'am, supposedly ang chapter 2 kay RRL man na, dili na lang, balik ka to na lang, research lokal o
Ito ra.
katong isa ma'am. Okay ma'am. Thank you
Statistical
ma'am.
tools. Ayun na mo pagkuan kay medyo kabalo po kung daghan po mo requirements sa other subjects ninyo. Okay? So, dili po kung unta nag face to face data karon, I might require you for data collection. Yun, para at least maka-experience gyud ta nga first hand maghimo sa atong results, maghimo sa atong graph, maghimo sa atong tables, di ba? So, pero kay dili na wala na ako nag-require kay lisod na kaayo. Basin ba daghan man ko man akong ginaingon basin daghan ko kay mga target respondents nato nga unresponsive. Basin dara ta malangay ba? Di ba? So, wala na ta. Dara na lang. Basta kay tarungan lang yun, sorry. Basta kay tarungan lang yun ninyo yung introduction, kana, inyong objectives, ako yun i-check. As well as your statistical treatment, ako yun i-check. Okay? Is it, or does it coincide with your objectives of the study, yung statistical treatment? So, muna ako ipag-check po. And I will also give comments na lang po na yun. Yes. Next, malinaw.
Ma'am, wala limit kung pila ka slides, ma'am.
I think 5 slides ra matingali akong i-require. Asa ba ito? Manubot ng post ko. Sige, okay lang. Pero at least at most 8 na lang. 5 to 8 slides will do. Okay? Basta just make sure nga sa inyong slides na gitara ang members. Title, your members, di ba? Kay dara man akong basis for grading naman good. As well as sa inyong presentation. Okay. Ansa pa? Any more concerns? Okay, so kung wala na, let's start. Let's check your attendance. Okay, Aminola,
Present, ma'am.
Awit,
Present, ma'am.
Rakoy, Banal,
Present, ma'am.
Paroro, Belisario, Bunga, Kagaanan, Katuran,
Present, ma'am.
Gamla, Ilumba,
Present, ma'am.
Gomez,
Present, ma'am.
Halina,
Present ma'am.
Bilal,
Present, ma'am.
Adman,
Present, ma'am.
Ladiero. Lexon. Luis.
Present, ma'am.
Makapayag.
Present, ma'am.
Magpayo.
Present, ma'am.
Malinaw.
Present, ma'am.
Mehos. Mehos. Dakila.
Present, ma'am.
Pastoriza. Ranyowa.
Present, ma'am.
Silvano.
Present, ma'am.
Victoria.
Present, Soria, ma'am. Present, Soria.
Sondo. Sondo. Sundo. Okay. So let's start with our discussion, no, this afternoon. Yes, Jamla.
Ma'am, present. Ma'am, wala ako nadunggan ganiha, ma'am.
Present, Baroro,
Okay. Aroro, Jamla. Okay.
Belisario po, ma'am.
Belisario.
Aminola
Isa pa. Aminola. Okay na si Aminola. Isa pa. Wala na? Okay. So, na ba? Okay. Please prepare your calculators, class, ha? Okay. This is mathematics of finance. So in other words, we are more on calculating this time, or calculations kita. Okay? So mathematics of finance. So to start with, let's discuss simple interest. So interest class is often associated to loan. However, interest is not only for loans, it is also for investments gain. Interest is the payment made by a person or entity for the use of borrowed money. This money can be from a loan or an investment. When only the principal bears the interest for the entire term, it's called simple interest. The formula for our simple interest class is equal to I equal to principal times rate times time, where I is equal to the interest, P is the principal, R is the rate, and T is the time. So suppose we have these as our problems. So we have number one, a 25,300 investment at 6% interest rate for 1 year. So you multiply 25,300 times 0.06 times 1. So this is in year month. So what is your answer? What is your answer, class, for number one? Okay, so it's 1,518.00 because we are now involving money. Okay, so involved naman gud ta og money, so dapat it must be rounded off in centavo. Okay, how about number 2? What is your answer for number 2? So this is actually the time T is in or is in mixed number format. Kung ingani gani ang time T bitaw ninyo, class, time T for number 2, you can actually transform your mixed number into an improper fraction. So to do that, you have 2, then multiply that by the denominator 4, so that's 8. Then add 3, your numerator, so you have 11. So from 2 and 3/4, mahimo siyang 11 over 4, kaya mas accurate magyud siya. So then multiply 65,850 times 0.0672 times 11 divided by 4. So you'll have 12,169.08. Okay? Okay, so that's the correct answer. Thank you. Next, last, for number 3, what is your answer? Number 3. Okay, it's 2,398.50. Okay, so this is the answer for number 3. So our first example, thank you for the responses, no? Our first example class is where our time T is already expressed in year. Okay? So, by the way, I want you to study on counting the exact number of days. For example, how many days between May 1 to May 30? So, nga na. So, how many days ang involved, ana? So, if that's the case, you start counting on May 2. So, May 1 to May 30 has actually 29 days kung ato na siyang i-count. Kaya dili man ta mo count automatic sa May 1 dito ta sa May 30. So, nga na. Okay? So, let's continue. So, this time, we will now study about ordinary interest. So, ordinary interest, denoted by ISAB-O, is a type of interest wherein the interest is computed based on the assumption that the year contains 360 days. So, basically, mo ni siya ginagamit sa banks. Kaya they assume that each month has 30 days. Computed using the formula I sub O equal to P, or principal, times rate, times the number of days over 360. Exact interest happens and is denoted by I sub E. This is a type of interest wherein the interest is computed based on the assumption that the year contains 365 days and it considers the 28, 29, 30, and 31 days in each month. Computed using I sub E equal to principal times rate times the number of days over 365. So for example, we have here these set of problems. Okay. Okay, for number 1, so that is exact interest, no? So that is I sub E equal to principal times rate times time. This is equal to, so find the exact interest of 29,300. So that's your principal, 29,300. Investment at 6%, so that's 0.06 times 125. So since this is exact interest, so the denominator that we are going to use is 365. So what is your answer? That's 29,300 times 0.06 times 125 divided by 365. So that's what's your answer? Okay, so it's 602.05, correct. 602.05 for number 1. Okay, let's take a look at number 2. So, find the exact interest of 45,045 pesos, that's the principal, loan at 4.5% interest rate. So that's 0.045 interest rate for 320 days. Okay, so since this is still exact interest, we will be using 365 as our denominator. Okay, so 45,045 times 0.045 times 320 divided by 365, pila? Round off your answer to two decimal place. Wala pa ko kita correct answer. Kasi na ko'y mali. So, be again, 45,045 times 0.045 times 320 divided by 365. So, 1,777.12. Okay. So, that's for exact interest. Now, let's continue with the ordinary interest. So, sorry, this is O. So, we have here, find the ordinary interest of 18,300, that's your principal, loan at 0.07%, a 0.07 interest rate for 225 days. So, sorry. So since this is ordinary interest, so we will be using 360 for our denominator. So that's 18,300 times 0.07 times 225 divided by 360. So, okay, answers. Remember, round it your answers to two decimal place only. Huh? Okay, we are dealing with money. So it must be rounded off to centavo. Okay? And lastly, for the ordinary interest, find the ordinary interest of 53,500. That's your principal investment at 6.5%. So 0.065 for 200 days. So that's 200 over 360. So, sorry. That's 53,500 times 0.065 times 200 divided by 360. So what's your answer? Okay, good. So that's 1,931.94. Okay, so that is for exacts and ordinary interest. Now next, how many days? I want you to count only how many days are there. Okay, appeal mabuti sa inyong quiz. Between March 4, 2015 to April 1, 2016. How many days are there between March 4, 2015 to April 1, 2016? Remember, 1 year kapini ha? This is from 2015 to 2016. I'm still waiting for the correct answer. Sobrang isa, Nathaniel. Okay, so let me explain kay inganin ni siya. From March 4, 2015 to March 4 of the following year, that's 2016, we actually have 365 days. Why? Because wala man siya ga-indicate na leap year ang following year. Kaya kung leap year pa lang ang 2016, of course, that's 366 days na. March 4 to March 4 na siya nga puyo. Then, since March has 31 days, so that's 31 minus 4 na daan. So that's 27 days plus 1 day sa April, that's 28. So 28 plus 365 is actually 393 days. Okay? So thank you. So that's 393 days. Now let's continue. Sorry. Now let's continue computing the maturity value. Now the maturity value of remember exact Hadman, we're talking about exact, so 393 days. Computing the maturity value class is actually the final amount that you are going to return to your lendee. For example, nag-ulos ka 1,000 and then naa siya interest ng 100 pesos. So at the end of the term or of the loan, you must return 1,100. That's the idea of the maturity value. Now, so let us try computing this example under maturity value. So find the maturity value of a loan of 28,000 made for 2 years at 8.15% simple interest. Okay, so compute first the interest rate. So I is equal to PRT. So the principal amount here is 28,000 times 0.0815, 815 times 2 years, kay years naman siya daan. So what is the value for the principal, for the interest? So that's 28,000 times 0.0815 times 2. So that's 4,564. Okay, 4,564. Then, now let's take a look at the final amount. This is equal to principal plus the interest rate. So this is equal to 28,000 plus 4,564. So, plus 28,000 na lang. So you'll have 32,564 as your final amount. Okay? Next. A sum of 43,720 is borrowed for 14 months at 7 1/5% simple interest. Determine the maturity value of the loan. Now, a sum of money which is borrowed is 43,720. That's the principal amount. Times your rate, that's 7 1/5. So that's 1 divided by 5 is 0.2. So 7.2 divided by 100, so 0.072. Multiplied by the 14 months. So remember, time T is always expressed in years. So since this is in months now, so we'll have our denominator as 12. Okay, this means that there are 12 months in a year. So what is the interest rate here? Plus. So that's 43,720 times 0.072 times 14 divided by 12. It's 3,672.48. Okay. So that's 3,672.48. Therefore, our future value now is, that is 43,720 plus 3,672.48. This is equal to 43,720. So this is 47,392.48. Okay, nakanteg nakakuha. Good. Very good. That's 47,392.48. Okay. Now let's continue. This time, we now compute the principal amount. Okay? So this time, ang principal amount na po ang question mark. Asa din sa principal amount. Okay? So to find the value of the principal amount class, we actually simply use the formula I equal to PRT and then compute both sides. I divide both sides by R and T. So we have the principal equal to the interest rate over rate times time. So in our example, we have here an online seller borrows a certain amount of money at 8% simple interest for 3 months. So determine the principal that results in interest amounting to 500 pesos. Our rate is 0.08 times 3 months. So express it in year. So that's 3 over 12. So pila ang principal amount. Okay. Very good. So that's 25,000. Next. So the next example class is including number of days. So remember, naman tayo duha ka types sa number of days, di ba? When we're dealing with number of days sa ato ang time t. So if there is no indication whether is it exact or ordinary interest, use 360 for your denominator. So Miss Sheila was charged 1,900 on a loan for 144 days at 9.5% simple interest. So that's 0.095 times, that's 144 over 360. So what is the principal amount? Okay, the na nakakuha. So that's equal to 50,000. Okay, next. Let's compute now the interest rate. Okay, the interest rate. So again, the formula still dito gikan sa inyong formula sa inyong interest. So we'll divide both sides by P and T this time. So we have here the rate is equal to the interest over principal times time. No? So a loan of 17,500 was charged 1,500 for 2.5 years. What simple interest rate was applied on the loan? So we have 1,500 since this is the charge, and then 17,500 as our principal amount with 2.5 years. So what is the rate? Round it off to 2 decimal place. Okay, so it's 0.03. Next. So if 60,000 pesos was deposited in a bank and became 61,625 at the end of 150 days, find the interest rate. So from 60,000, nahimo man siyang 61,625. So ang interest dali is 1,625. The principal amount is still 60,000 multiplied by the time T, which is 150 over 360. Wala may indication if it is ordinary or exact interest. So what is the answer for number 2? Two decimal place lang ha. Okay, good. Daghan na nakakuha. So we have 0.07. Then, this time, we'll be computing time T. So, our formula here will now be time T is equal to the interest rate divided by P and the rate, principal times the rate. So the interest earned on an 88,000 peso deposit is 1,250. How long was the term if interest is 5% simple interest? So remember that you have to round your answer to 2 decimal place lang. Okay? So what is your time T? Okay, good. Data na nakakuha. So that's 3 years, 0.13. So this 0.13 refers to the number of months na dayon. And lastly, for this part, so how many days will it take for an investment of 36,000 to grow to 45,750 if it is earning 7.5% simple interest? Okay, so that's 45,750 minus 36,000. So that's 9,750 divided by the principal amount, that's 36,000 times 0.075. So what is the time T rounded off to 2 decimal place? So that's 3 point, okay, the kanan nakakuha, that's 3.61. So this ends the first part of our lesson. If you have question, please i-ask siya later. But don't worry, I will be attaching this one later sa classroom or sa inyong stream. Pero if it is in PDF format. Okay? Let's have a break lang for 2 minutes. And then I'll proceed with the last part of the topic. Okay, so let's continue with next topic. It's on compound interest. Okay? Ano ba? Okay. Okay, so what is compound interest class? Compound interest refers to the sum of interest and principal and the interest of interest accumulates over a period of time. So the interest earns an interest every compounding period. The process of finding a compound amount or maturity or future value when a present value is known is called compounding. Compound amount is the accumulated value of the principal and all interest amounts of prior periods. So, in other words, it is the sum of the principal and all compound interest. Compound interest is calculated on the original principal and the interest previously earned by an account. This means that a sum of money invested for 1 year that earns interest compounded quarterly will earn simple interest for the first quarter. This is the interest on the principal and the interest of previous periods. This is usually used by banks in calculating interest for long-term investment and loans such as savings account and time deposit. This is also the difference between the compound amount and the original principal. Compound amount or future value is the final amount of the investment or loan at the end of the term or last period. So, in calculating compound interest class, we will be using the formula I equal to PRP and the future value, which is M is equal to P plus I. Each time, each period is compound interest is computed. So for example, we have here 500 pesos as our principal amount. Our rate is equal to 5%. And the time T is equal to 3 years. Now for the first year class, that's 500 pesos times 0.05 times 1. The interest earned is 25 pesos. So the new principal now becomes 525 pesos. Because this interest now will start now earning interest na po. So is what is happening in compounding. On the second year, so that's 525 pesos times 0.05 times 1. So we have 26.25. So again, we add that one to our new principal, we'll have 551.25. On the third year, we have 551.25 times 0.05 times 1. So we have 27.56. So a total of 578 at the end of 3 years, so 578.81. If we are going to compare this one using simple interest, we only have 75 pesos at the end of 3 years sa ato ang simple interest. And the maturity value is only 575 pesos. Nag-differ ang compound amount by 3 pesos and 81 centavos because these 3 pesos and 81 centavos are actually the interest of the previous interest earned. So muna siya gakahitabo sa compounding. Okay? So let's discuss some terms. So we have here the conversion period. This is the time between two successive conversion of interest. Number 2, we have the frequency of conversion. This is the number of conversion periods of the investment or loan per year. It is denoted by M. So if the conversion is quarterly, so you'll have M equal to 4. If it is semi-annual, so M is equal to 2. If it is annual, then M is equal to 1. If it is monthly, then M becomes 12. The number 3, you'll have the nominal rate. That is just simply the rate. Number 4, you have the rate per conversion period. This is the rate of interest for each conversion period denoted by I, where I is equal to the nominal rate divided by the frequency of conversion. For example, we have 8% compounded quarterly. I is equal to J over M, so that's 8% divided by 4, so that's 2%. For 12% compounded semi-annually, I is equal to 12% divided by 2, so that's 6%. Then we'll have the number of conversion periods. So basically, ang number of conversion periods class is how many times mo compound ang amount before hantod sa human ang loan. So for example, there is a next slide. We'll have here annual ang period. And then the term of the loan is 2 years. So pila ka annual sa 2 years? We only have 2. For quarterly, and then the frequency of conversion is equal to 4. So for 2 years, how many quarters are there? So sa to pa, there are 8 quarters for 2 years. Sa to pa, 8 mo compound ang amount. Hantod mo human ang loan. And we also have monthly. Kung monthly po ang loan or compounding niya, so for 2 years, there are 24 compounding. Hantod sa human ang loan. So that is what is emphasized here. So for the compound amount formula, we'll have M is equal to P times 1 plus I raised to N. And then the interest here is M is equal to, I is equal to M minus P. So our P is equal to the original principal. Our M is equal to the compound amount or maturity value. J is the nominal or annual rate of interest. M is equal to the frequency of conversion per year. I is equal to the interest rate per conversion period. And T is the term of investment or loan in years. And N is the total number of conversion periods in the investment. So suppose we have this problem. Miss Kathy invested 15,000 pesos in a co-op share account at 9.5% interest, compounded annually for 5 years. Compute for the compound amount and the compound interest. So mo ni siya ang solution. Our principal is 15,000. Our M, since it is annual, so it's 1. T is 5 since there are 5 years. And then J is 0.095, so that's the rate. Computing for N, we have T times M, so that's 5 times 1, which is equal to 5. I is equal to J over M, so that's 0.095 over 1, so that's 0.095. Now take note, ang I ninyo class, kung 1 decimal place ang final answer, okay ra na siya. Kung 2 decimal place, as is. Kung 3 decimal place, okay ra, pareho ani. But if it is beyond 3 decimal place, i-round off ninyo ang I to 3 decimal place for the sake of uniformity sa atong answers. Okay? Therefore, we have C equal to P times 1 plus I raised to N. So that's 15,000 times 1 plus 0.095 raised to 5. So that's 23,613.58 after 5 years. So another example will be this one. So same example gihapon atong gamiton, but we will be using another frequency of conversion, no? So suppose same problem, and we'll have this one as 7 years, and then compounded quarterly. Okay? So we'll have this given values. Okay? So ang M nato karon class is 4. Okay, quarterly naman. T is 7 years. J is still the same. So this one, this is 7 times 4. So this is 28. So this is 0.095 over 4. So this is equal to 0.095 divided by 4. So this is 0.024. Then computing for the compound amount. So we'll have here, I'm sorry. So this is 15,000.024 raised to 28. So computing for the value of C, we'll have 1 plus 0.024 raised to 28 times 15,000. So that's 29,140.03. And this ends my lesson this afternoon. Question? Question or clarification sa ato ang lesson this afternoon? And then please check the stream kung na post na ba ako ang atong lesson this afternoon, but it is in PDF format, ha? I-check daw yung streams palihog. Ha? Taning bago lang akong gi-post. No, taning bago lang akong gi-post. Together
Wala pa,
with the
ma'am.
solutions.
Wala pa,
Wala
ma'am.
pa, for a while, ha? Wala tulatan sa nato.
Kaning kuan, ma'am, kanibitaw sa bag-o na example, i-attach po din mo appeal sa stream, ma'am.
Tanawa daw, i-check daw ninyo.
Sige, sige.
Kung na-update na ba inyong stream. Duha akong i-attach actually. Katong ganiha o katong karon nga lesson.
Na, ma'am.
Nana, okay na? So, okay. So, I hope that will help. Do not forget to study also counting the exact number of days, because it will be included in your quiz on next week.
Ma'am, ako
Next,
wala ma'am na ipa-clarify, ma'am.
Mm.
Patong sa table, ma'am, mga table 11, sa page 11.
11. Oh, yes.
Ay, saka pa din, ma'am. Mga pang third page ata to, ma'am. For sure. O ka to na, ma'am.
Ani?
O ka na, ma'am. Nga ano,
Mm.
kuha na, ma'am. 5-2. Ay, lagi. Saan ba, boy? Wait lang,
Unsa
ma'am.
man?
Kaya, nakuha na ko galing na, ma'am. Kaya, nung lahi ako nakuha, ma'am.
Times 1. Okay, per year man siya.
Nga no, 5-5 siya, ma'am.
Kay ang interest, i-add na dayon sa original principal, which is 500. So nag-earn man og interest ni siya for the first year, kay compound man siya for the first year. So 25 pesos ang interest niya for the first year. So the new principal now is 500 plus 25 for the first year.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
So kana siyang 525 muna po nimo gamiton sa second year. Kay dapat kanang 25 pesos nimo nga ning interest, mag-interest na pud na siya. Dungan sa original principal. So muna siya gakahitabo sa compound.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Unsa pa questions or clarifications? Unsay zigzag? What do you mean zigzag?
Like, di ba ma'am, 525 ang sa new principal, ma'am. And then, mo siya gamiton sa computation na pod. And then, sa pag-interest, ma'am, mo ni siyang kay, di ba, 0.05 divide 100. So, pag abot sa new principal, i-add, and then, ang new principal na po sa ibabaw mo ay gamiton sa pagka-third, ma'am. Ingana na siya, ma'am.
Yes, ingana siya. Amo ni siya ang basic idea sa compounding. Pero you can, kung gusto mo shortcut, you can actually use the formula P times 1 plus I raised to N. Kanilang siya is, gipakita lang nako ang ideas kung unsay nahitabo kung mag-compound ta. Kay, sa compounding manggod, ang interest, dili, unlike sa simple interest nga, computon lang interest for 3 years. Sa compound, dili. Kaya interest, example na earns mo sa first year, mudungag na po na siya sa next year. Kay katong 25 pesos nimo dapat mo earn na po to siya another interest together with your 500 pesos and so on. So, na siya. Okay? Unsa pa yung mga clarifications? So I hope na po nakita na ba ninyo ang atong lesson this afternoon na post na no? So it's in PDF format again because again bas hindi na po ni mabasa ang uban na mga equations, so I have to save it in PDF format just to make sure nga ma-attach good siya sa inyong classroom. Okay? What else?
Ma'am, kanibitaw
Yes.
yung mag-post na guidelines for the reporting? Kano sa
Yes.
deadline ni ma'am?
Ang reporting is next Thursday.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
So you will report next Thursday. Kamo na po ang maestra next Thursday. With those topics. So lahi-lahi mo topic per group. Ang grouping ninyo is same sa inyong research group. Guidelines na siya. So for group 1, you are on consumer loans and credit cards advantage. You are going to report on consumer loans and credit card advantages, disadvantages for group 2, how to use credit cards for group 3, stocks and bonds for group 4, mutual funds for group 5. Okay?
Ma'am, tanan mag-report ano naman or nagya po yung representative ma'am like pareha to ni Agi ma'am.
Kung medyo taas po inyong content, daghan ang content sa inyong report as much as possible kung ay gyud ninyo tanan para at least everybody will have the chance to report. Kaya gusto ko mag-on cam gyud mo kung mahimo.
Ma'am, by schedule na, ma'am, no?
Kasi by schedule.
Like dungan-dungan may sa Thursday, ma'am, dili man kay taas man, ma'am, di ba?
Tanan na ni siya dapat i-report next Thursday.
So like
Manunin
next
nato siya next Thursday.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Kay the following Thursday, manggod, will be scheduled na dahil sa inyong research presentation. So wala na gitay time. And then report. Then Monday mag-quiz na mo. Then Thursday mag-report on research presentation. The following Monday na dahil yung final exam. So wala na gitay time. Borot-borot na ang mga days.
Sige, ma'am. No problem, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Okay na? Wala na? Ako na ni siyang i-close ha. Kaya na naman ni siya sa inyong stream. Okay. So, kung wala na, that's all for this afternoon. You'll have no activity on Monday. Your activity will be posted next Thursday pa. Okay? So, thank you and have a good day, everyone. Unsa? Everything about mutual funds, yung introduction, what is mutual funds all about, di ba? Everything about mutual funds. Just a summary on mutual funds. Okay? Okay. Sige. Bye-bye. Alina. Yes. Alina.
Ma'am, kanang giignan ko nimo nga i-remind ka sa kanang klase na ma'am nga katubi tong graph na ako nga abi nimo wala ko kapasa or na late. Nag-email pod ko ma'am ganina. Na dito ang proof nga wala siya na late pero wala po siya na late, wala po siya na missing. Nakapass
Okay.
ko ma'am.
So the rest, you can go. Ako na i-cater si Halina for a while. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Halina.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Sa graph, that's midterm, no?